tidy here. Let's shift over to the main topic. Cocaine Bear, ladies and gentlemen.
This is grade A, 100% pure Colombian cocaine, ladies and gentlemen. Disco shit. Here is the driven snuff.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Bear.
Yeah.
Bear fucker.
This little baby right here is called cocaine. Right. It will keep you sharp between the ears.
Don't feed the bear.
I could see a point of contention. You're very easy to get rattled, Nick. So the bear fucker thing is from Super Troopers.
Oh, okay. I was like, I heard that, and I was like, wait, what's that from? Because I have no clue what it's from. Just like the last thing, which was that Yogi Bear the last thing?
I think so.
Okay. I knew I picked up the obviously the Johnny Depp stuff, Blow, but then the McConaughey was Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay, so Super Troopers and then Yogi Bear maybe. Okay,
I think Yogi Bear. Yeah, I think that's Yogi Bear. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that my ears perked up when I heard that. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know you're like an old church lady these days, you know. But why don't you get us with the synopsis of this movie?
Okay. An oddball group of cops, criminals, tourists, and teens converge on a Georgia forest when a huge black bear goes on a murderous rampage after unintentionally ingesting cocaine.
All right, this is directed by Elizabeth Banks, written by Jimmy Warden, and based on some true events here. This is starring Keri Russell as Sorry. Doesn't really matter. Alden Ehrenreich as Eddie, O'Shea Jackson Jr. as David, Ray Liotta as Sid, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. as Bob, Brooklyn Prince as Dee Dee, Christian Convery as Henry, Margot Martindale as Ranger Liz, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, and almost like an unsuspecting role. It took me a minute to kind of realize who it was, playing Peter, and everyone's favorite redhead from Game of Thrones, Christopher Heavesju as Olaf.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, most of these names I'm just like every other all of these people I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just thinking that's Keri Russell and O'Shea Jackson running around the whole time. Like, yeah. Jesse Tyler Ferguson
don't matter.
Exactly. Like honestly, it's only the people that like who I don't really know who they are, like Henry. I feel like I've seen that kid somewhere before. But anyway,
he does look familiar. Yeah, I was thinking that the whole time through the movie.
I'll have to look it up throughout the course of things. But as for the box office and critics' response, this hauled in $28.3 million worldwide in its opening weekend and 23.1 domestic. So clearly more of a U.S. movie. Received 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb with a 70/74% split on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4 out of 5 on Google reviews, with 89% of Google users liking this movie.
Yes, and a little background information on the real-life inspiration behind the movie. The film is loosely inspired by the events surrounding a 175-pound American black bear that died after ingesting a duffel bag full of cocaine in December 1985. The cocaine had been dropped out of an airplane piloted by Andrew C. Thornton II, a former narcotics officer and convicted drug smuggler, because his plane was carrying too heavy a load. Thornton then jumped out of the plane with a faulty parachute and died. The bear, who died sometime after consuming the cocaine, was found 3 months later in northern Georgia alongside 40 opened plastic containers of cocaine. The bear is currently on display at the Kentucky Fun Mall in Lexington, Kentucky, which named the creature notably Cocaine Bear in 2015. The film's plot differs from the real-life events in a number of ways. Notably, the real-life cocaine bear did not kill anyone while consuming drugs. And what transpired in the time leading up to its death from its overdose is unknown. Although director Elizabeth Banks said that the movie could be viewed as the bear's revenge story.
Mm-hmm. And I also saw that the bear is also nicknamed in places Pablo Escobar. And then according to Dr. Kenneth Alonso, in efforts to try and find other information, Wes, because we wanted to see if we could do like compare and contrast like the real life to this, there really wasn't a lot of wiggle room. But one note I did find is the doctor who I just mentioned, he's the guy that examined the bear's corpse, and he said the animal's stomach was literally packed to the brim with cocaine.
Yeah, I wonder how that works. If your body digests that, if a bear's body can digest that, or if it just is like, I don't know. Is it in December? So it was up out of hibernation when this happened. So maybe it's still in like the hibernation mode where it's just like plugging up its butt for 6 months,
Yeah.
So like maybe it couldn't shit, and it was just all kind of like going in there because
that's a really good point.
You're like hibernation mode.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not familiar with their hibernation schedule, but I think that adds up.
Yeah.
That adds up to me. No. You sound like an expert. Yeah, leave it alone.
I'm no Dr. Kenneth Alonso, but I think I can.
But you can give a mean score and tweet length review, so why don't you hit me with it?
Oh, I love it. I gave it an 85 out of 100, Nick. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a corny 90-minute ride that knows exactly what it is the entire time, doesn't stray too far from it. Cashes in on some gruesome deaths, get some good jump scares. You get very stupid characters, albeit lovable, and adds just a dash of heart in there too for good measure. This is my best movie of 2023 so far.
Okay. I think I agree with a lot of things you said, except that my grade is a little bit lower, 79 out of 100. As wild and outrageous as you'd expect a movie of this title to be, knows what it is and just runs with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a 79, 85, that's quick math for me, about an 82 average. So not our highest rated movie of the year, my highest rated, but I think as a podcast, Ant-Man was just maybe a shade higher. I think that was probably like 85, 84, somewhere right around there.
Lot of room left. And then Pale Blue Eye was, I think, farther apart.
Maybe lower 80s, high 70s, something like that too. So we're right around there on that, but again, I really enjoyed this movie. So let's not waste any time, huh? Let's hop right into it. What do you say?
Sounds good to me. Where do you want to start?
Oh, did this movie live up to the hype, the anticipation, maybe of the general population and of yourself?
Yeah, I think that this this ended up being exactly what I expected to be. So yeah, I think it did live up to the hype. Like, we thought it was going to be fun. We thought it was going to be ridiculous. And yeah, I think the only time where I had like any kind of a lull, because this is a pretty, this is a short movie, was probably the interaction with the there's probably a moment with like the kid and Keri Russell where I was like, and then when the interaction
when they're looking for the daughter.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you this specific moment, but I feel like that there was a moment with them just because the kid didn't do it for me. And then with the detective and O'Shea Jackson, I feel like there might have that was a lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that. I mean, maybe it just felt like that whole bit went on a little long.
That did go on a little long, and that's probably a knock on. Even though it is a tidy movie, you're dealing with such. There's not a whole lot to work with anyway, so you're filling in a lot of the gaps. So some of these things do go on a little bit too long here. But I agree. Just to answer the question, I think this did live up to the hype. It doesn't exceed it by much. Again, this is a movie that doesn't. I'm not coming in here expecting this to blow my pants off or come out crying or be overly emotional or come out thinking this deserves a whole bunch of awards. But for a 90-minute movie in which I had to go kill time while my wife was having a baby shower, this worked out great.
Perfect timing for you.
It was perfect. The whole thing was like 2.5 hours, the baby shower, maybe 3. So it was like 90 minutes. Come back, say hello, pull the all the presents back out into the car, and then good. We're good to go.
Yeah, for me, it was a Sunday matinee. Go like right after some stuff in the morning, and then perfect, nice. And didn't take up too much of my day. Still had room for Last of Us later on in the evening. But
now, did the fiance go with you on this?
She did not. She was not interested.
You spared her. Yes,
I offered. I mean, I'm going to offer. But
what was your? I mean, you said early matinee. I went around like 4:30. So there was 2 other people in my theater.
I went at 1:30. And I believe originally, I think it was 4 in front of me, and then there were 3 in my row. I was all the way in the back. So yeah, it was not hard to get good quality tickets there. So what was it, like 7 people?
No, there we go. All right.
Yeah, I guess it's bigger in New Hampshire than it is in the Cape. I don't know what
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, it might hit closer to home. There's more bears up there.
I would think so. I would hope it's closer to home here. Jeez.
This might be my favorite question to ask here. This might be the most fun answers that we give.
Yeah.
What was your favorite death and kill? Because this was full of it. I mean, as I mentioned in the tweet length review, I mean, it's just really full of gruesome deaths. And again, there's not much to this. Bear finds a whole bunch of cocaine, as the story suggests. Then they all have to try to collect it back up. O'Shea Jackson Jr., a couple other people, led by Ray Liotta, to kind of recollect their cocaine because some South Americans, some Colombians are going to come after them if they don't make their deal whole. So that's kind of like the theme of the story there. But along the way, full of gruesome deaths. So why don't you hit us with one of those?
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to what you were saying too, that's where like Keri Russell was very good in this movie, but I also kind of look at that plot and I'm like,
she's aged very well too.
Do we need this in here necessarily? Like, it wasn't. She was good, so it didn't bother me. But the kid, I guess, is kind of what made me doubt that. Not her daughter, the little blonde kid.
So I think that like. There's the heart of the story is the three of them, and that's like the driving force of it. Because like like it's funny to see the drug dealers interact with one another with like the stoner kids or whatever, like the druggy kids, and that's kind of funny to see them interact. But that's like the heart of the story.
No, that's fair. I just sometimes wonder, like, do we always need that kind of thing? But I get it. Like, it wasn't overwhelming, like where it bothered me, like where it easily could have been in this kind of a movie. Because like there was no mistakes made, like in this sense of like they didn't look at this movie and think, oh, we're putting together an Oscar-worthy performance. Like, no, it's clearly dicking around the whole time. So when you ask what your favorite death was, for me, right away, it's Jesse Tyler Ferguson's death. Peter. Is that the dude's name?
Yep.
With the flow, he gets eaten in the tree because this whole time, or not the whole time, when he shows up and they finally find the kid and everything, him and the ranger are like
little know-it-alls.
Yep, scolding the kid. You must have done something. Blah blah blah. And it's like, well, there's a bunch of cocaine around here. Like, that was his death. I was like, that was the most satisfying one for me for sure.
And he goes kind of like dick first. Like he gets eaten dick first.
Yes, kind of. No, you're right.
Yeah, the bear's like kind of like right at his belly and like crotch area. I think maybe he goes right at the thighs first, but like he's alive, like getting his crotch and belly eaten.
For how I thought it only ended up being the knee. And I was kind of surprised, like, because when they did, like, it made sense, but at the same time, it's like, you don't need to be this tasteful. Like, you've made it pretty clear, like, we see where the cocaine is. Like, he's gonna go for that area, and then he bit off his knee, and that's how he fell off. But that was that plop. I was like waiting for it to happen. Like, it's gonna happen, and then boom, it's like, ugh, nasty. But it was. Margot Martindale's character was pretty annoying too. Her death was great, but I'll let you dig into some of your favorites.
Well, yeah, that's my favorite one right there is the Margot Martindale death. It's the Ranger Liz face drag, and that whole kind of scene, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But when at that point the cocaine bear is like at this point hauling ass at like 45, 50 miles an hour, I'm assuming, which is just ridiculous.
Terrifying.
But, gets into the ambulance because the doors weren't closed because, of course, they pull away without having, to be able to close the doors in time. So that just doesn't make, that's always happens in movies. And then the strapped down Liz, who is like half dead. Like, I don't know. She's got like claws in her legs. She's like kind of dead. I don't know where she's at this point. She's been shot or like maimed further after the bear got into the park branch there. But then she slides out and she's strapped into the stretcher and falls down on the ground face first. And then her whole face drags to a slow stop on the pavement. And she's just resting in her pool of blood. And then they cut back to her at the end, not the very end, but like at the end of the scene. And I don't know if she's still alive at that point, if they're showing her. Was she breathing or like, I don't know.
I honestly was like, should I ask Wes this question? Or she'd be like, no, you're an idiot. Why would you ever think she was alive? Like,
I thought that because I couldn't really tell because her eyes were open, but that's something that could happen in death. But like,
I was like, when they first did it, I'm like, she's dead, right? There's no way she survives this. I mean, she's been beaten to a pulp prior to this, and now she's like literally pulp, like half her body.
I think she, obviously died. Like she didn't survive the movie, but I think she didn't die instantly upon falling out of and getting dragged out of the EMT.
That's. I mean, okay, that's
my thought. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, we don't know, so like you could be right, but it was either way. It was wild. It was Some of these deaths were crazy, man.
And it was good. I think that's what it has to be too, because it's such a stupid movie, such a ridiculous premise that like what's gonna, you know, kind of keep you hooked.
Yeah, and actually, before you go into your other ones, because I know you got a couple others, it's easy to lose sight of this one because it's the first death, but the wife of I forget
Olaf. Yeah.
like that was brutal, man, absolutely brutal.
And he doesn't do anything, and he's like this huge guy, you know, and like we know him from Game of Thrones as this like awesome warrior too, and he's like such a wimp here.
Yes, I'm watching it, I'm like, you know, I'd like to think I do something more, like at least try and find a rock to throw, but it's like, no, he just does absolutely nothing, and she gets torn to shreds. We see her leg, I think that was it, right?
Yeah.
That was it. But like he obviously gets mutilated later, which I thought that was a nice little tie up with him too. His face.
Yeah. No, so I think that was great. And again, right off the bat, like you said, it kind of sets the stakes for everything there. But there was this guy who I don't have his name, but he's the other EMT, the guy EMT.
There you go.
But he's like famous for like TikToks and stuff like that. And like he's gone viral for a bunch of stuff. And he's like, he has like, I couldn't, it's like a memeable type of video that he does, but I couldn't describe. I tried describing a meme over the air. I don't know. You can't really do it, but you see his face, you know what I'm talking about. But when he gets his arm and his wrist eaten, and then it's just kind of like there when he's in the front, you just kind of see it. That's kind of like an armable mention. There we go. And then also Ray Liotta in his last movie before his, of course, untimely death, goes out in the end of the movie here, getting his guts eaten out by the bear cubs who are also on cocaine.
Brutal. I mean,
again, you're watching it happening too. Like you're alive through that.
Yes. No, that was some pretty nasty stuff. Like when you talk about nasty, if we were talking about the most disgusting death, that might be there, because that's like you eat his stomach for a second and then you just drop him off cliffs. Like, we could have just dropped him off a cliff and just ended it there. Would have been fine.
Now,
but no.
I was just watching The Terminal List within the last couple of months or so, that Chris Pratt Amazon Prime, like it's like a Jack Reacher CIA army type of movie or show. And in one scene when he's like finally tracking down the guy who's like killed his family or something like that, he guts him and then takes his intestines and like stakes it up to like a post where he's like tied up to, and then tells him to walk.
Wow.
Which is kind of like that. It's like kind of crazy, where you're like all your long intestines, you're just like pulling it out of your body as very crazy stuff. But that's shout out to the bear and to not Chris Pine. What's his name?
Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Yes.
There you go. Yeah. I guess they're the same. I guess. Basically, what I got out of it.
There are a couple of bears. Chris Pratt's a backwoods type of country guy. You know.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a homesteader.
Oh, okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think so there. Was there anyone that you were rooting for in this movie?
Again, like for the issues that I had with like the Keri Russell story, it's just like the I get it. It's the thing that like, it's the nice thing, the people that you're rooting for to kind of move the story forward. Like, as much as I'm critical of that portion of the movie, like she did a great job. She was a great mom, and she had a real fucking badass moment actually in all of it too. I thought that was great.
Grabbing the gun?
Yeah.
She
did a great job with that.
And she loads that thing too, like she knows what she's doing, you know?
Yes, you are absolutely right. And then, I mean, I liked O'Shea Jackson in all of it. But you had issues with O'Shea Jackson in this, right? Junior.
No. So that's for different reasons there that we'll get to. Yeah. No. O'Shea Jackson is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
He was great in this. I don't know. I let this one blank, but I guess like the greater point is that you're not really rooting for anybody. You're just kind of like watching everything unfold, which I think is very effective of this movie. I feel like every movie, you can't even escape this in Marvel movies now, is trying to push some agenda on you. And this was like none of that. It was just pure unadulterated fun. They're not trying to make you see a stereotype in one character or make you feel better for another character because of X, Y, and Z trait. You know, like there was just none of that. It was just everything. Here it is unfolding for you. 1985. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, as much as I was rooting for them, I didn't feel. I sometimes play mind games with myself and have doubts, like, oh, is this character safe? But like Keri Russell and maybe her daughter were probably the only people who were really safe the entire time.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine they were killing kids too. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the
Henry
blonde kid would have been.
yeah.
Yeah, Henry would have been tough.
Yeah, but I mean, he would have been fine to go though. Right?
Yes, I would have been fine with it, but I feel like for them it would have been tough to okay that. But yeah, everybody else was fair game. Like yeah. But anyways,
what was the most rewatchable scene from this movie?
well, I think the bear chasing the ambulance, as we talked about quite a bit before, was like you're talking about how fast that thing was going. I was as when I saw, because Wes had mentioned this first in our notes, I thought about like, why didn't the woman driving the ambulance go faster? Like, what was? But ambulances might only have like a certain speed limit on them. Like, I don't know, because like safety and stuff, right?
Yeah, I know, because they would have to be able to rush to a scene.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. It just felt odd. Like why? That bear was.
And she was looking back and like kind of trying to dodge trees, so she didn't have her eyes on a road. I mean, there's a couple stereotypical jokes that could be made, but we're not going to make them here on this program. But anyway, she winds up dead, flying right through. Didn't have her seatbelt on. Not very safe. So she's gone. So I think everyone in there kind of just goes out of that scene. So I think that's great. But you also get what you kind of set up here a little bit earlier is when Ranger Liz and Peter meet Keri Russell's kid and Henry there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a great one. That was like, just because it's like, like it's, if anybody is going to die in this movie, it's those two, just because of how much dinks those two people are being in those moments. It's just like, oh my God, shut up and just kill them already. And yeah, it obviously it took a little while for Ranger Liz, but also on that note with her, she had some great moments throughout all this movie. As much as she was, didn't make it all the way through, but like that bit with her and the two punk kids, like one gets blown away because she's just like
a horrible shot.
What the hell was that? I mean, that was how. But and then the other kid, obviously he gets clawed, like half his face gets ripped off. We see that before he gets killed. Kind
of coming through the window right there too. Yeah, so I think that's also like a really good scene. But I just had something and it was gone.
Was it about Was it about Ranger Liz?
Oh, it was about the shot, right? Because like it kind of set that up earlier when she's trying to shoot the bear when Peter's there in the tree and everything, right? Like he's like, stop shooting me. And I remember thinking at that point, like, Peter's going to get his head blown off here. And then they go back to it. Peter's, obviously dead. And she ends up blowing off blowing up the guy's head, the young guy's head, later in the building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that pays off pretty well. But I mean, you knew that was going to happen, and I thought the EMT was going to get blown up there. In the ambulance scene.
True. Yeah, but that does set the tone for like her being a bad shot. I mean, good grief. But yeah, that was yeah. So there were a few, like, again, when we talk about rewatchable with this stuff, it's a little, actually, even with this, like, I could go back and see myself. I could see myself going back and finding like a YouTube like supercut of all the deaths from.
Oh yeah, if this is on HBO, Showtime, something like that, that comes like I'll give this a good watch. If that comes on TV, that sort of thing. I mean, no one really watches it that way anymore, but
right. But it's definitely that kind of movie. Like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I don't want to watch anything new. I just need something mindless. This is right up that. Yeah.
In that same note, what do you think is going to age the best from this movie, Nick?
Can you go first? Because I hate that I keep stealing some of the things you're saying, but you're making good points.
Oh, yeah. The nugget of if it's black, you must fight back, and if it's brown, lay down, and referencing brown bears and black bears. I think that I never knew that. So
never heard
that. Good little nugget. I'm sure you can find that very helpful up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I never ever heard that as a thing. Like, I always thought it was you play dead or you don't move, right? And then I heard at some point, you don't do that. That's bullshit. It's not a thing. And now it's like, okay, so there is a thing. Like, it's just wild but why would we need to hear it necessarily?
Well, and we kind of see that on display a little bit, right? Because like the kid in the tree kicks the bear a couple times, and then ultimately the bear gets the whiff of the cocaine on Peter. And then goes over there. But, it is kind of stunned. And then there's another point. I don't know. I forget who it is. But the bear kind of comes in, and then someone kind of hits him in the face a couple times, and it backs off. and goes somewhere else. So you see it a little bit, but that's not like it doesn't really come into fruition. Like I thought that was going to be like an Easter egg that would come into play later.
Yeah,
And it didn't as much as I thought.
That's a fair point. It didn't come not as much as we would have thought, but I will say like that was really interesting. They start the movie off the rip with saying like with a black bear, you like it's not territorial. So it's a totally different, which is what I don't know. It's just it was an interesting nugget that I did not expect to learn. I get actually educated watching Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, well, it's good to know.
When you're talking about just the general like what'll age best for me, it's the ridiculousness of this movie because that will make it an immensely rewatchable movie. Not one that you're necessarily always going to want to sit down and watch it its entirety right away, but you can have it on as background. You can just be like fast forward to your favorite parts. It'll hold up for a long time because of that.
I would say Keri Russell. I think she's aged very well throughout all of this here. So I think Felicity with her curly locks that she used to rock there. So that hitting that fame. So she's gone straight hair, don't care. I'm still down with it. She's got that nice like 80s tracksuit nurse mom vibe going on. I'm definitely here for her. And then also I thought this was just kind of a funny bit in like. I don't know why I like this so much, but just O'Shea Jackson getting his fingers blown off like randomly. I just thought that was kind of funny, like how two different like not close to each other, and then someone mentions it, and he's just kind of like I don't know. I thought that was just kind of funny to me. And then they call it truce on the gazebo, like that whole like interaction. Like that cop, like all I know him for is The Wire. He's like I don't know, like a district attorney who says like shit. Like, that's all I know him as. Yeah,
that's him. Oh, okay.
Shit, man, I don't know if he's a lawyer or DA or something like that.
Okay, because I was like, what? Where do I know this guy from? Like, there's something else, but I never watched The Wire, so
yeah. But that's that's a meme. You know, like you see that everywhere. Shit, that was pretty famous from it.
Yeah, I didn't know he was the guy. Okay, but yeah, that the finger bit was something else. Like where I did it, I was like. Huh? And I'm like, thank you for calling it out right away and not just leaving it like it's an okay thing.
And then someone's like, hey, can you let him go grab my fingers real quick? And like it lets his buddy go grab the fingers. Like that's funny. Like,
I don't know how much of this was improv, but when you talk, but assuming that most of it wasn't, like the writing of individual scenes was very well done, I think, in this movie.
Yeah, this doesn't strike me as a big improv group here. You know, this isn't the James Franco Brat Pack sort of thing that they got going on there.
Sure, and it's tough with probably with a fake bear being in the mix too.
Yeah. Which is good CGI. That was a legit bear. It was good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever thought it was a real bear like watching it, but it was.
No, but it looked good.
It was good. It was good CGI.
What do you think is going to age the worst from this movie?
So I kind of alluded to this before when actually you did the intro question. Like I'm worried that like we're going to get something like, oh, let's basically take Tiger King meets Cocaine Bear. Let's do that and make it its own thing. Now, as I say this idea, I'm like, I kind of might watch that if that happens. But at the same time, I don't need to be beaten over the head with this. Like try and have, and now as I did more research into this too, Wes, I found the screenwriter for this, Jimmy Warden, is talking sequels. He was like asked by Variety about it. So this was his quote on it. The bear's not the bad guy in this movie. What happened is a product of circumstances and everybody else's poor decisions. I think that is a story that we can continue to tell over and over again. What? You're gonna have a Cocaine Bear too?
So I think that's one way to interpret it. I think another way would interpret it to be is that you can continue to tell a story where someone is not really like a horror villain who's committing all these crimes is not really the bad guy. It's misunderstood. It's the vampire story. It's Frankenstein. It's all that. The misunderstood villain. I think that's what he's saying.
Okay, that's fair. Gotcha.
Like more of like an abstract thing. At least that's what I hope. Well, that's what I hope he's saying. If that is the case, I'm with you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, let me add this though. Because it's also from his quote. I'd be excited to tell it because there are some really good ideas that we have for the subsequent movie.
Now that's the part that concerns me there.
Probably should have made sure I included that.
That's a concerning.
But your logic is good. I like that. I'm fine with that. Like that theme or however you want to label it. Sounds great to me. But We're gonna go and have a cocaine bear too. No, I'd rather have a Tiger King meets cocaine bear.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I saw the Cubs, I mean, that was my biggest
Yeah.
fear. It was like, we can't do a series like Sharknado 2 or like more snakes on a plane or something.
That's a great
like
call,
that.
though. That's a great call.
Yeah,
that's what they're
I know
gonna do.
that was my I was worried about that.
I don't want to be wrong.
What else aged worse from the movie? I agree. So I hope the any sort of success or buzz that this movie gets doesn't kind of snowball into something that we don't need.
Is that an intentional pun there? Snowball? No.
Yeah, we can go down there. Yeah,
look at you.
I like that. All right, don't even know I'm doing it. How about making kids swear / do debaucherous things as a main form of comedic elements in a movie?
I mean, this. I don't know. I was okay. I didn't care for it. But as you're saying out loud, I'm also thinking like, this is what always has happened. They always do this. This is. But
I agree. But like, remember we watched like Good Boys? Like that was like one of the first movies we reviewed as a podcast.
Good Boys.
Yeah, it was like a younger version of Superbad.
Oh,
it was like middle school aged. Like, that's what I imagine these kids are.
Yeah. Yep.
They're like at no more than middle school. They're not freshmen in high school, right?
I forgot about that movie. Wow, 2019. Yep.
But like, we did like Superbad and all the other high school, American Pie, but that was all based in high school when you're going like these kids look prepubescent and they're like eating cocaine and joking about doing cocaine and dropping F-bomb. Like that's where I feel like the line, like in 10 years, is it going to be elementary school kids, doing ecstasy? Like what's happening? You know what I mean? Like, is that the slippery slope that's happening?
Well, and look, I know like there are plenty of kids do dumb things. There's no question about it, but just the cocaine bit, like trying it, just seems a little bit of a reach for me.
That's where I was like, that's where I kind of got the eye roll for me.
Yeah, as you point that out, I agree with you on that end, 100%. Yeah.
And then this is where the my problem with O'Shea Jackson Jr. comes in here. Yeah, so I think he aged the worst, just in the same way that Keri Russell has aged the best. He's like blown up like a goddamn tick, and like the hairstyle and goatee choice, like he looked like a arbitrary creative character from Madden or something like that. Like he looked like a, I don't know, like he didn't really look like anybody. He just looked like an NPC in the background of a game.
He has definitely put on some pounds. Yes, that is a fair point, because it's like, because every time you think about when he portrayed his father, it's like it looked a lot different there. But
like he was big. He's got some weight. He was a thick boy, but now he's like obese, borderline obese. It looked like there. So let's get him on a health plan there.
I was wondering what you meant when you wrote that down. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think.
I looked down and was like, oh, geez, that's a big boy there. So poor O'Shea there. Would this have worked better as a limited Netflix or HBO miniseries, like maybe 4 to 6 episodes?
No, I mean the only thing would be, and I'm assuming you'd be interested in this, but I could be wrong. If they did like a documentary or a docu-series, like I would like. Now that you've done this, I would like those things, but you could have done those originally too.
I'm not even sure if there's enough time to do like a docu-series though, and I'm with it. I don't think this wouldn't have worked. Like maybe like almost like a Marvel Legends type of thing, like a 5-minute short on the behind the scenes, and then like a quick backstory on it, or something like that. But like, I don't think there's even enough material here.
I should have thrown that caveat out there. If there is enough information, you had
that in there,
but I didn't say it, so got a second. But if there's not, then what do you? Then this is it. This is where it should end, but it won't.
Yes, yeah. Who had the best performance by a side character in a rather thin movie?
It's an easy one. It's Ray Liotta. He was great.
Yeah, Ray Liotta was really good, but he's Ray Liotta at this point. That's kind of like who you're getting. Yeah, again, he's advancing his career, but it's funny how easily he gets typecast and be like, all right, you're just Henry Hill 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, and we're all just catching him at different points in time. So that's great, and I love Henry Hill. I love Ray Liotta. He's a great actor. Olaf, again, showing a little bit of range here.
Yes. Yeah, no, you're right. He did. He was
gassy little bitch.
I will say, like, as I was watching, because with the glasses and everything, I was like, this is the guy from Game of Thrones, right? Because at first, like, that's him. And I was like, wait a second, is it him? I'm not sure.
No, you can't confuse. How many other huge redheads are walking around there with beards?
I mean, that's a fair point, but I was like, yeah. I was just because he was just so not him, like you said. So credit to him and credit to the person who gave him the glasses, because that was the game changer for me.
I like your note down here for who lost the movie, Nick. Has this been the worst thing for park rangers since Parks and Recreation?
It might be. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, just in general, like, especially that wherever this park is, like, I would think you're gonna get people who want to visit it even more now. Even though the bear's not, like, it takes just 2 seconds of research to know the bear's dead. I mean, I wouldn't think.
But you can go see it though. You can go see it at the mall. It's stuffed.
This is true. If you talk about winners of the movie, that maybe that mall it could be up for winners of the movie.
I think Kentucky tourism in general, just bringing a little bit more stuff. Although you got to be careful because a ton of missing people instances occur in our nation's parks.
Yes.
So you got to be careful with that sort of thing.
Dude. Like, obviously, there's like the weird stuff that happens with like couples and stuff like that, and there's one that happened a while back. Like,
Gabby Petito, I think. Right.
That was like those are one thing. Then I mean, animals is another thing. Then there's like people that live in the parks too. That's to me, whenever I heard that, which I feel like wasn't that long ago, that's the weirdest shit.
That's awesome, man. If you could live off the land in a Hobbit style house, maybe do a Aaron Rodgers like darkness retreat.
That's not the kind of people I'm talking about. Like, they are like feral. I mean,
oh, you mean like dirty hippie types? Like dirty hippie types, the type that would sell you a bad tab of acid at a Grateful Dead concert.
No, I'm talking about like Wolf Child, like people who are who aren't human. They like
wolf. Is that a real thing?
That's what I thought. That's what I. No, well, I'm just saying, like isn't that like a kid? Like, wasn't that like a movie or an old story, like kid raised in the wild, like something?
Oh, like that? Yeah.
But
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But like that. But like people like that are in the. I thought that's what it was. That was.
I see. Yeah. Oh, maybe. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
like not normal functioning human beings like that. No, like just bizarre.
I see. And you think they could be a problem?
Yes, that they're people like people that they. Okay, you know what it was for sure? It was people like cannibals. That's what I heard. Like, there are people who are cannibals.
What?
That live in parks. Yeah, I'm not making. Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Cannibals in the park. They're eating people. But if there's no other humans in the park, they're eating the guests. Like, how would they get the taste for flesh?
As soon as I type in cannibals national parks, the first headline I see is revisited. Are national parks home to feral people?
Wow, this is
okay.
My mind is blown right now, Nick. You're blowing my mind.
Okay, well, I'm
glad. Might even be changing my mind because I thought this was an impossibility.
Mark it down. Yeah, I'm telling it's. I didn't know this from.
I won't change my mind because I don't have to, because I'm an American.
Well, they're Americans, I guess, too. Technically.
Yeah,
but anyways.
I guess. Well, are they citizens? I don't know. Show me their green card. Show me their social security numbers.
What if they were born here?
I don't know. How could you prove that?
Oh, well, that's, I guess.
If there's no records.
Yeah, it's true. Well, they may have their own system.
That's true. Them and the Mennonites. Yeah.
But this is why I don't have any real urge to go to a national park. I appreciate nature, but this kind of stuff is freaky.
Now, I wonder how many feral people there actually are, and like what national parks are they going to?
Yeah, I don't know.
Should we create an app that maybe will tell you how many feral people there are at a given national park, so we can go there and visit them or avoid them? Kind of like when a bar's too busy, you kind of get those updates.
Here's another headline: rumors swirl online about cannibals living in Colorado's national parks. This is from Out There, Colorado. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, you got to be careful, Nick. You're in the Live for Your Die state. I'm sure there's a lot of feral people up there. Who won the movie? Why is it feral people?
I mean, the bear obviously had a great performance, but I think you among the ones that what are the other ones you had jotted down? Because again, I was doubling up on you.
Keri Russell was great. I thought she had a nice little comeback moment there. She's getting a nice little second act to her career. Moviegoers, I think too. I think this is just a fun movie go. You just have some popcorn, have some laughs. Don't really expect too much out of it. And I think the real winner is Elizabeth Banks. She made a good movie.
Yep, great
She
call.
she knew exact. She kind of had a clear vision for what ended up being presented as a clear vision. I don't know about the whole process of it, but that's what gets shown to us. Is that like we're like, okay, how are you going to make this in a movie? This is stupid. Like, how are you going to, how is this going to work? And she kind of made it all work and saw it early on and was like, all right, we can make this happen. And I think she delivered on it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how much else she's done, but like Elizabeth Banks, like right when you see it's her, it's like, oh, this is okay, like you did great job, like you did.
She just started directing. She just did another movie kind of recently. I thought it was kind of big, but she's been in a bunch of stuff, acting wise.
Yeah, for sure.
She's funny.
Yeah, she is funny. So like seeing her name on this, not knowing what she had directed previously, I was like, oh, this okay. She's got like comedic chops, so I'm in, like that kind of adds to it. And that was like I didn't see that till well after we decided we were going to do an episode on this. So if she does more, directs another comedic thing, like obviously I want to see the trailer, but I'm hopeful if she's attached to it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so all good things. So yeah, Nick gave it 79. I gave it an 85 for Cocaine Bear. That's a good average on quick math skills for an 82. So an 82. And yeah, that's it. That's it for the Cocaine Bear exit survey. Why don't we get over to